The final game of the day in St. Louis, and it's a good one. A matchup of Wildcats, Kansas State and Kentucky, with the winner to advance to Sunday, and a matchup with undefeated Wichita State. Hello, friends. Jim Nantz, Greg Anthony, Tracy Wolfson, and we're going to begin this game in a fashion that perhaps you've never seen nor heard of before. Kentucky's going to be going right to the line before the tip and shooting technical free throws, because while Kansas State was going through the layup line, a reserve dunked. Here he comes, Brian Rohleder, dunking right here. You can't do that. It's a violation. He's informed here by the officials that that's a technical foul. And before there's a tip, Kentucky will be shooting 2 free throws. There is Rohleder, sophomore from Wichita, Kansas. And just when you thought you heard of everything in basketball, I bet you hadn't heard of this one.
I really hadn't, and I just got to say, I think it's a dumb rule, maybe one of the dumbest I've ever seen. Seriously, I mean, it has no impact on the game. I mean, it's a non-play. No one even notices it, and yet now it could ultimately cost your team a game in the NCAAs.
Tracy Wolfson has more on this story. Tracy.
That's right. Well, Bruce Weber agrees with you, Greg. I just spoke to him a few minutes ago, and he said it's just sad. Brian Rohleder is a walk-on and an engineering major, and for him to have this opportunity and then just to give him that foul, but he doesn't get a personal foul. So that is one thing of note. They will just tip the ball as usual, guys.
So Bruce Weber, he's working beyond that right now, but we're going to see this very bizarre situation. A Kentucky player is going to come out all alone and shoot 2 free throws, and then we'll have the tip.
And also, Jim, this is, to me, this is not about the officials. That's the rule. I want to emphasize that. The rule's stupid, not the enforcement of it.
Reminds me back in 2007, sitting courtside for a Kentucky game against Villanova in Chicago, and Kentucky checked into the starting lineup the wrong Perry, Dwight Perry instead of Bobby Perry, and at that point they just had to go with the lineup they had submitted, and they had the Dwight Perry kid commit a foul to get him off the floor. But Bobby Perry was supposed to start to begin the game, because if they changed it, they would have been hit with a technical before the game started. So anyway, here we go back to this one getting underway with Andrew Harrison shooting 2 free throws. And I'm sure, even though they're trying to explain it in-house on the public address, this is lost on 19,000 fans who have packed in here to St. Louis for this game. Rohleder's applauding. And that's the earliest point in NCAA tournament history. Here are the starting lineups. Harrison, Andrew, and his twin Aaron, James Young, Randall, and Dakari Johnson. And there's Kansas State with Spradling, the senior from Overland Park. Marcus Foster, watch out for him, the freshman, number 2 for the Kansas State side, 20-12. Julius Randle will tap it here with Thomas Gibson, and it comes back to Randle. And the Wildcats spotted a 1-point lead. Here we go. Of course, you can't say too much about the Wildcats tonight, because that works for both sides.
And I'm interested to see, one, how Spradling matches up on the point, and then how they deal with Julius Randle in the half court.
James Young dumping it down low to Dakari, who backs in but shuffled the feet, and he's called for the traveling.
And wow.
Dakari Johnson with the walk.
Kentucky has a height advantage, but the girth advantage is going to belong to Kansas State. Gibson there, great job of holding his post position defensively.
Here is Gibson. Takes the open shot and knocks it down.
And this right here with Spradling, this is what I'm talking about. His ability to contain penetration and keep Kentucky from getting to the free throw line early in this half.
Coach Cal is 5th season at Kentucky. This is their first NCAA tournament game since winning the national championship in New Orleans. Last year they did not make the field. In fact, got bounced in the first round of the NIT at Robert Morris. So the first tournament minute for them since tearing down the nets in New Orleans over Kansas.
And let's face it, there is no place in America that has the kind of pressure that they have in Lexington.
James Young wide on the 3, and it's Gibson.
And this game takes on even more importance. To your point, how about if they don't win, they will not have even won a tournament game in 2 seasons since that national championship.
Back down they go to Gibson. Snaps it back outside, and here's the player to watch for. And he's blocked by Randall. Foster had a shot rejected. Harrison slides through and gets the basket. Aaron Harrison.
And that's again, we get back to that transition. Terrific job by Randall on the contest block, and then to get it out so that the Kentucky crew could get out and attack in transition.
Spradling misfiring on a 3, and it's Randall pulling it down. Andrew Harrison, left hand no. Rebound belonged to Nino Williams. Gibson, a junior, working on the freshman, Dakari Johnson, and he beats him on the inside.
Yeah, really good footwork there and able to get the finish before Randall could come over and provide the help.
James Young out of control, and he's called for the traveling.
And this is an issue Kentucky had early in the season, really, where in trying to force tempo, they sometimes make bad decisions in transition.
Ball turned over to Kentucky. And here's Randall, who averaged 15 points, 10 rebounds a game. Andrew Harrison tried the floater, doesn't fall. Driving in and off the front of the rim. That was Nino Williams with the attempt. It's going to stay with Kansas State. Kentucky brings in some subs with Willie Cauley-Stein and Alex Poitras.
And really, this is where they become, I think, more effective defensively. And right on point there, Willie Cauley-Stein with the steal.
To Young. Young, tough shot. Had no angle on it, but somehow slithered it home.
That's where it's good fortune to be a softball on that possession there. That lefty able to get up and over the contact.
Quick shot here, and that's Foster with his first bucket. Marcus Foster, the freshman from Wichita Falls, Texas, who averaged 16 a game this season. Who played AAU ball with the Harrison twins down in Texas, so no strangers opposite sides today. Cauley-Stein. Back out to Randall. That is a 3. Cauley-Stein with the putback. Fighting for it inside, and another putback attempt, and a block. And Randall. It's finally a foul call. Foul call on Kansas State. Already 5 early lead changes, and what should be a dandy here in St. Louis. Final 4.
Jim, if you're ever going to shoot 20% from the field to start a game, this is the way you want to do it. How about the effort at attacking the offensive glass? 5 opportunities here for Kentucky to get a basket, and the big concern coming in for Bruce Weber and Kansas State, could they keep them off the offensive glass? Not on that possession. Great effort, and if you're John Calipari, you love the intensity and the focus your young group has shown here early on. 5
opportunities, and then the foul on the floor against Nino Williams. So, alas, Kentucky inbounds. Not in a shooting situation, that foul. Over to Cauley-Stein. And Young wanting to slash. Now pulls up. Tapped outside. And that's going to again stay with Kentucky. How many chances are they going to get on this trip?
Yeah, that's one of those plays. I think Spradley not realizing maybe that the ball was off of Kansas State. One thing, though, if you're Kansas State, you want to make Kentucky a perimeter shooting team, not allowing them to attack off penetration or post-ups.
Here's Young. They've gotten away with a walk. Randall, 3.
And that's exactly where you want Julius Randle if you're Kansas State. He's already taken 2 3-pointers. And for every jump shot he takes, that's a possession or a win on a possession if you're Kansas State.
And Cauley-Stein is whistled for that one. So Kentucky had 7 shots down the floor that trip and comes up empty.
But not a wasted possession from the standpoint you've established that you're going to be a force at attacking the offensive glass.
Takari Johnson comes back in, a freshman from Brooklyn, New York. Became a starter late in the season and has brought a lot of energy to this team. That made a really good run through the SEC tournament and fell by 1 to Florida last Sunday in the SEC final. Here's a 3. And it's Poitras. Up ahead, Cauley-Stein, and tipped away. Foster taken off, and he scores. Marcus Foster.
And really a good job of defensive transition, which is going to be key for Kansas State. And then to get out in transition and get an easy basket for yourself. You know how well Kansas State's going to compete defensively. They do at times struggle to score it. So anytime they can get easy baskets in the open floor, it's a big plus for K-State.
And K-State's Shane Southwell has picked up a personal foul. He's been an on and off starter and comes into the game and is whistled for that one. It's Randall. Got Southwell on him. Poitras has an open 3. And skying for the rebound is Awandu.
And then sometimes with young teams, because you're open doesn't mean it's a good shot. And you've seen early on Kentucky settling a lot for perimeter jump shots.
Spratling off on the 3. Just a little reminder that on True TV, Stephen F. Austin and VCU are coming down to the wire. Virginia Commonwealth with a half-minute to go is up 4. Poitras, another 3. This time he gets it.
That's a big shot for him because Poitras is, to me, the guy that can be an X factor for this Kentucky team. Tremendous athlete, can get after defensively, and can also give you valuable points because you don't really run a lot of offense for him.
And driving to the basket. Awandu was fouled.
And again, while you may not want to live out here if you're Kentucky, the ability to make a few will loosen that gritty Kansas State defense. Maybe a bit where you can then feature Randall on the block.
Talked about Poitras being a tremendous athlete. He's also a tremendous student athlete, a 4.0 GPA at Kentucky. Sunday, nothing can prepare the good wife for what lies ahead. Catch the new episode Sunday at 9, 8 Central on America's #1 network. The freshman from Houston, Texas and Westfield High School, Wesley Awandu, will shoot one more. Missed them both. Nigel Johnson defending here on Andrew Harrison.
And Nigel Johnson can really defend the basketball. Giving up a little bit of a size advantage, but his lateral quickness is exceptional.
Poitras on a wing. There's 5 on the shot clock. And Harrison fouled on the way up.
And that's one thing that Andrew Harrison does a good job of selling contact on his penetration. Really good. Has developed and refined that part of his game and gets to the free throw line quite a bit because of it.
DJ Johnson committed that foul. And the man who opened the game at the free throw line with the technical free throws will have one more. That is a bizarre feeling for everybody in the building to see it. Poor Andrew, he almost got up and airballed the first
I was going to say, it would be really uncomfortable. I mean, that's the last thing you could ever think of that would happen in the course of a game. But to flip the script a little bit, I'll tell you another thing. Tempo-wise, Kansas State's done a pretty good job with their transition and defense and have been able to have the game played at their pace here early on.
Southwell sends it over to Gibson. Back out to Nigel Johnson. Southwell now. Top of the key, front of the rim. Good piece of rebounding here. Getting control of it, but unable to finish it off was Lawrence. Young passes up the shot. Aaron Harrison will take it, though, and deliver it.
And boy, I tell you, if they start making those shots consistently, because that's really, if you're Kansas State, what you want to force are long jump shots. But if they start to fall, watch out.
Last 8 to Kentucky.
And Kentucky's done a good job on Foster here early on, the leading scorer for K-State.
And out of control and off the hands of Nigel Johnson. And another Kansas State turnover. Kentucky with a little spurt here. Scoring the last 8. And they go to the under 12 break with the lead. Jim Nance, Greg Anthony, Tracy Wolfson, Wichita State on this floor to start the night. A glimpse of why they have been so sensational. Roy Williams has never lost an opening round game in the tournament, 24-0. And they could have moved Arizona Weber State to this site. This could have been the Wildcat Invitational tonight. As we have our second Wildcat matchup of the day. Arizona, of course, won and advancing. Weber State putting up a pretty feisty effort in that one, but the Arizona side wins that one. Here, Kentucky leads it.
That's really been the story of the tournament, how many closely contested games we've had here in the early rounds.
Actually, Harrison coming off the screen from Johnson. Randall with 5 to shoot. Young feeds it to Dakari Johnson. Back outside with 1, and from the corner, had it off in time. Pulled down by Gibson.
That's a solid defensive possession, but also a very good offensive possession, I thought, by Kentucky. Good ball movement, and they didn't settle or take a bad shot.
K-State's been shut down for the last 3.5.
And they go through spurts like this, and as they have all season. It's just been the biggest challenge they've had all year is to find consistency scoring the basketball, particularly when they're away from home.
Gibson again with that nifty footwork, and he frees himself for 2.
And that's where the girth gives you an advantage, because he can knock a shot blocker off balance and not allow him to gather and contest, and then able to get that soft touch off. Beautiful play by the big fella.
I tell you, you talk about that girth, but he's pretty nimble once he gets moving. That footwork is exceptional.
Terrific feet. Really does a great job. It has to, because oftentimes he's going to be matched up against bigger players.
And this is going to be another call on Spradling, his second.
Yeah,
watch here, Gibson.
Watch here, just that little bump You saw how Randall kind of bounces off, and watch this right here. Randall just bounces off him, and when he's going back, just unable to come up with the contest.
Spradling down with the 2 fouls. Javon Thomas seeing his first action. He's defending here on Harrison. And taken away by Kansas State. Up ahead they go to Foster, trying to get control of it. Coming up from behind, Aaron Harrison, wreaking havoc for the Wildcats fast break.
Not able to come up, but again, you can see the quickness defensively. And Kansas State's going to do a lot in terms of trying to get deflections and disrupt in terms of that rhythm that Kentucky wants to play with offensively.
Poitras has come back out for Kentucky. And Paulie Stein is such an exceptional shot blocker. Over 100 blocks.
But look at the ground he covers. He started at the 3-point line. And as an offensive player, you have to always be aware of him when he's on the floor.
Tough time getting it in. And Kentucky's able to come away with the steal. But then Aaron Harrison came down out of bounds. Back to Kansas State.
Yeah, that's 2 possessions now where they've been able to almost come up with turnovers, and Paulie Stein responsible for both. Good call there. You see, he just stepped out with that right foot.
Marcus Foster, second team All Big 12. Gibson, look at that move. Tap back outside. Not a fresh 35. Owandu. That ball again rejected by Paulie Stein on the floor. Andrew Harrison able to get it to a teammate. And Kentucky shooting 25%, but with a 3-point lead. And Andrew Harrison bangs it home for 3.
So he is really playing well. Great recognition there of the mismatch with Gibson, and just throws him enough to create space for that jump shot.
Foster, quick release. The Harrison twins have 11 of Kentucky's 16. Here's Aaron. His turn again. Brother to brother. And the twins are starring here in the first half for Kentucky. Now with 14 of their 19. And Kentucky is up by 9 on a 14-2 run.
You, Jim.
That is almost unforgivable. The game is over. Just let him shoot a 3.
Oh, my goodness.
And Stephen F. Austin. And how about what's going on right now with Virginia and Coastal Carolina? The Chanticleers are leading by 8 over a 1. And that's late first half, and that game's on TBS.
We talked about the struggles offensively of K-State, but Kentucky's also nice finish there by Gibson. But Kentucky's doing a really good job with the pressure defensively. And this is where the Harrison twins, that size they have in the backcourt, can really create problems when they are engaged defensively.
Gibson has 8 of Kansas State's 12. Here's Young with a 3. Paulie Stein had it come knocked out of his hands. And then Young deflects it. Ball belongs to K-State. Thomas Gibson's been all the offense for Kansas State. Kentucky has the 7-point lead, 7:40 to go. What a sight downtown St. Louis at night with the Arch. Kansas State has already gone 11 players deep, but only 2 have scored in the game. Gibson with 8, Foster with 4.
Kentucky comes out in that zone, and with Paulie Stein on that back line, they're very active. He covers so much ground.
And that's an errant pass by the freshman, Nigel Johnson.
And that's a miscommunication there, because Owandu was expecting the lob, and Johnson was thinking he was going to go short 17 there at baseline, just float out.
And the Wildcat of...
Which Wildcat?
Yeah, the Kentucky Wildcat actually caught it. Nigel Johnson seeing increased minutes, even though he had a good game recently against Iowa State with 17, but Spradling on the bench with 2 fouls.
Well, we talked about at the top, could Spradling do the job of containment and without fouling, unable to here in the first half.
Young shot deflected, second chance, drops, +1.
And what a nice play there. The penetration. And even though he gets the block, doesn't give up on the play there. And just the presence to get the finish as well as the contact.
Three-point play, double-digit lead. The biggest of the game for Kentucky side.
And really, if you're Kansas State, your defense has been good enough. It's just the offense. Nice shot there by Wandu. The offense just hasn't really given you a chance here early on.
Just the third player to score for Kansas State. Wandu. Stein back out high to Randall. By the way, Randall scoreless in this game. Here he is, fighting for his first 2. Doesn't get it. Hits the floor, doesn't get the call. Nigel Johnson taken off and unable to get the ball to drop. Here's Randall, and oh, this could be flagrant.
No, I think a good play. I think he made the play on the basketball there.
It was a Wandu who made the contact, his second.
And you can see here, he goes for the ball. There is a reach. The fact that he goes for the ball there, I think, will avoid there being any concern about a flagrant.
Yep. Just put Randall on the line for 2. And the 7th team foul on K-State. Coke Zero wants to know, are you a real fan? Hashtag prove it. Visit the Coke Zero social arena in March Madness Live. Spradling back on the floor with the 2 fouls. And Wandu sits with a couple. Randall gets them both.
And in Kentucky tonight, how about 6 of 7 from the free throw line, and they've shot it well from 3. It's really the 2s they haven't been able to make tonight. Only 3 of 12 here in this first half.
Southwell. That's a tough pass to catch. Foster able to get it. Foster down low on the side and dunks it down. He waited for Cauley-Stein to go flying past him.
Yeah, Cauley-Stein just could not resist the temptation to commit to the block. Nice play by Foster to get the finish.
By the way, Stephen F. Austin has won that game in overtime against Virginia Commonwealth. Again, 4 down. Stephen F. Austin comes down, shooting the emergency 3, hoping someone would foul him in the act, and it happened to force the OT on a 4-point play at the buzzer in regulation. Unbelievable. And for one of the bright young coaches in basketball, Shaka Smart, that is going to be one painful one to live with for the whole offseason.
Well, no matter how good a coach you are, you're going to deal with a lot of misery if you're involved with competitive athletics.
By the way, the 12s over the 5s in the first in the tournament, 3-1. Spradling. Trailers. Andrew Harrison knew he was coming down behind him.
And for me, Jim, that's next level stuff for Kentucky as a team. When the Harrisons get to the point where they get those bunnies for their bigs, because that's when those guys become more engaged and more effective as basketball players.
Kentucky pressing ahead. Lob, and Young unable to finish it. Now Foster at the other end. Rejected. Cauley-Stein has 3 blocks. Young wants a second chance. Missed the last time. And no basket. It's a charge. Timeout on the floor. Kentucky plus 10. They haven't lost since November, and they're on to Sunday to take on the winner of UCLA or Tulsa. Wild sequence a moment ago here in St. Louis.
And really, this is Kentucky. They want to get out in the open floor, unable to convert here, but Kansas State not nearly as adept. And at some point, they're going to get the memo not to attack Willie Cauley-Stein. He's blocked 4 shots and can alter another 3. Very fortunate that Gibson's able to draw that charge there and get possession, but it's going to be important for them. They haven't gotten Foster going, who's their leading scorer offensively. And somebody else now with Gibson not on the floor going to have to step up as well.
This Southwell and Spradling. Only 1 starter on the floor for Kansas State. And the former high school defensive lineman, DJ Johnson, Bruce Weber's first recruit, will be shooting free throws. Second foul on Takari Johnson.
And you don't think Johnson and Gibson would make some pretty good defensive ends?
Ooh. No, I would think that DJ Johnson. Surprised Coach Snyder hasn't taken a look at him over in Manhattan.
I mean, maybe he has, knowing Coach Snyder.
Yeah. He was a defensive end and a tight end, and he's from right here in St. Louis. This young man right here, a sophomore. And nice touch there. All right, let's face it, own up to it. Your bracket is done, shot. Well, you can make new picks every round with the chance to win a tablet or a trip to the 2015 Final Four. Play today at cbssports.com/brackets.
And speaking of brackets being busted, all hail the 12 seeds, huh?
3-1. And the only one to win, St. Louis, comes back from 14 down against NC State.
Oh, wow.
Otherwise, that could have been perfect 4-0 as Coach Gottfried and the Wolfpack looked like they were going to win that game for a long time and did not cash in from the free throw line. Brutal night at the line for NC State. Cost them. It got St. Louis back into the game, and the Billikens are on to a Saturday appearance against Louisville.
And that's going to be interesting. You talk about a contrast in styles between St. Louis and Louisville.
It's going to be a 1-on-1 coming up. The foul is on Thomas. And Aaron Harrison, the oldest of the twins by a full minute. Identical twins from Richmond, Texas. And here's Aaron getting one more. Averaged 14 a game this season.
And you know, he's really had a solid season. You know, sometimes the perspective gets lost because of all the talk about the one and dones, and I know how heralded this young man as well as his brother was, but he's had a really good year.
DJ Johnson, who was at the line for Kansas State a moment ago, left the floor, was taken to the locker room. Inside 3 to play, first half. Kansas State struggling to find any kind of rhythm at this end of the floor.
The length and that lateral quickness of Kentucky has been a problem, no doubt about it.
Cauley-Stein taps it over to Harrison. Here's Randall. Nice move. And the biggest lead of the game now swells to 12.
And how about how fluid he was on that possession? Full speed, able to avoid the charge, and the beautiful finish in the open floor.
Foster feeds the corner. Spradling can't get a better look than that. Inside putback. Well done there by Javon Thomas, the freshman from the Queens in New York.
And this next minute 50, really important if you're K-State. You just need something positive to build some momentum going into the half. Defensively, you've been solid. You've held them to 29 points, but offensively, you're going to have to find a way.
Both teams shooting just 35% with a minute and a half to play in the first half. Randall. Ball on the floor, scooped up by Gibson. To the basket. Southwell is hammered by Randall. And I don't know what happened with DJ Johnson. We mentioned he left the floor.
Obviously looking like a foot injury. Let's take a look here on that post up. You can see the knees bump there, but also the way he planted, you can see that young man is in some pain.
First foul on Randall. Shane Southwell, senior from Harlem, New York. We'll get one more, and again, AT&T at the half will get you caught up on the latest tournament news, highlights, and updates on another day with some crazy moments in the NCAA tournament. AT&T at the half. You got Mercer over Duke. Pride of Macon, Georgia.
Yeah.
And they'll be playing Tennessee in the next round, a team that they beat last year in the NIT. Mercer and Tennessee on Sunday from Raleigh.
How about Virginia in a serious battle with Coastal Carolina here as well.
Down 5 at halftime. And that's going to Kansas State.
And unfortunate there that Randall didn't pick up a foul on that play. Great effort and hustle there by Foster. You can see that little bit of a push. I tell you what, I couldn't tell that go off of Foster's foot.
Sure
there.
looked like it, didn't it? Here is Foster. Spinning past Harrison. Man, oh man, what a move.
And how big is this last minute or so been for Kansas State in the half where you really haven't been able to figure anything out offensively? You look up, it's a 2-possession game. Marcus Foster, he's had a terrific season. He stays aggressive, gets the finish. K-State right back in it.
Coming out of a Kentucky timeout, Kansas State has put up the last 6 points to cut in half a 12-point lead. And Kentucky now just about a 2-second differential shot clock to game clock. Can pretty much hold it to the end here if it wants to.
And that's the reason I think John Calipari called timeout, just to ensure that they get this last possession. They don't come down and quick shoot it and give Kansas State any opportunity to cut this lead anymore.
Young back on the floor after a long rest. And Kentucky's looking to run it down to the end here. Best it can. We'll have to shoot with 2. Here's Andrew driving, putting it up. And since that shot never touched the rim, shot clock violation.
Yeah, look, Nigel Johnson there, just a terrific job. We talked about it at the top. On-ball defense. He is as disruptive as anybody you're going to see.
And now Nigel Johnson will inbound it.
You're trying to get Foster on the move if you can deliver something.
Nigel Johnson up to midcourt. Scrambling shots. Oh, he had the angle, didn't he?
He did. Yes, he did.
From our viewpoint, you knew it was online. But way too long.
Shades of Butler Duke a couple years ago.
I saw Gordon Hayward for a moment there. That one we'll never forget. Kentucky had its biggest lead with 2 minutes to go in the half, 29-17, and did not score then the last 2 minutes. Kansas State, though, scored the last 6. Let's go over to Tracy.
Thanks a lot, Coach. You came over. You just shook your head. What happened down the stretch there?
We had a pick and roll, and our man didn't go after the ball. Kind of let it go over his head. They come down and score. It's a different ball game. But my team's playing well. They were so anxious early. 5 freshmen starting in an NCAA tournament game. The kid almost shot an air ball on the free throw, Andrew, and I laughed like crazy. But they're doing well. We're defending pretty well. We're rebounding pretty well. It's going to be a hard game. I mean, this thing's up for grabs.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
That's the end of the first half. Kentucky 29, Kansas State 23. And we're going to send you to AT&T at the half after these messages. You're watching the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship. Back in St. Louis with Greg Anthony and Tracy Wolfson. There are the first half numbers. Kansas State did not make a 3 in that first half. These stats sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings. What do you see here, Greg?
Well, first, shout out to the guys in the studio, Kenny and Mateen, and Clark saying that it was relatively ugly. I have to disagree with my good friend. It was clearly ugly. That first half was not very good, really, from either side. But you have to expect that both teams get after defensively. A lot of inexperience on the floor as well. But if you're Kentucky, the way you started is the way you want to get back to playing. If you're Kansas State, Gibson and Foster, your 2 best offensive players. Let's see if we can figure out a way to get them a little bit more engaged, particularly Foster, here in this second half.
And here's Spradling, who was 0 for 4 from the field in that first half and did not score. Southwell open for a 3, and now going back to the end of that first half. That is 9 unanswered by Kansas State.
And we were going to show the fans some highlights of the Harrisons and how well they played. They did have 15 points combined, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, but they also had 5 turnovers, and that's got to change here in this second half for Kentucky as Kansas State starting to get some confidence.
Randall doubled up, able to squeeze it back outside to Andrew Harrison. And now with 8 to shoot, Randall. Harrison loads it up wide, and out of bounds belongs to Kansas State.
And that's an example of a possession right there where there's no ball movement, there's no body movement. And that's how you get yourself into a rut offensively and lose rhythm. You know, this game is so vital that everybody stays engaged. That's why the ball movement is always so relevant in terms of how you play. Kentucky's got to get back to that.
On the blocks, Gibson waits. Oh, it looked like contact. Randall appeared to get him with the body.
It was a late call, and I thought it was a right call. You see there, just the contact there.
They called it on Cauley Stein, not on Randall. Right there at the end, although I didn't see Cauley Stein make that much contact.
I agree with you. I thought the foul was on Randall there,
yep.
But.
And it rattles out for Gibson. This is a Dallas area kid from Cedar Hill who lost 35 pounds in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, but you can just see how much quicker he is at first step. And then now he's also in a position where he can utilize his strength.
Here's Randall. Inside and 2.
And that's a good example there. Even though they don't move it around, Harrison able to get into the teeth of the defense and create an opportunity. That's something I'd like to see him do more. Get those easy ones for your bigs.
Spradling with Randall somehow switched over to match up on the point guard, and that's a jumper by Southwell that's short. Picking it up off the floor, it's Randall looking for a lane, and he drives in. It's called for the charge.
And again, we've seen a little bit too much of this from Kentucky, just out of control on this play here. Easy call for the officials.
Not an easy contact for Spradlin to hang in there and take.
That's a great point. It takes a lot of courage to stand in front of a man 260 pounds going full speed.
Gibson trying to power his way in, splits up, gets it back. No fresh 35, taking away Aaron Harrison. Over to Andrew. Young on a wing. Swarming on Randall. Working around, driving in Aaron Harrison. Heck of a shot right there.
And a lot of that because it was good ball movement from strong side to weak side. And now you're in a position to attack the defense because they're not focused on the ball.
He's got 11, the only player in the game in double figs. Foster, what a bounce pass. And the basket converted by Awandu. Awandu off the beautiful assist.
And the pace has definitely picked up here in this second half. A lot more energy being utilized efficiently. Not the case in that first half.
Oh, and Spradling's going to be called for another foul here. That's his third.
This is a great job of reading the shot blocker. Cauley-Stein steps up for the help. Nice little hesitation there. Once he commits to it, now you've got the opportunity to go up and convert.
And that sends Spradling to the sideline. And Nigel Johnson is back out here defending on the ball. Nigel Johnson, the son of the former NFL defensive back Sidney Johnson, who played for the Redskins and the Chiefs.
And Nigel plays like a defensive back from a defensive standpoint on the ball.
Aaron Harrison again, and he is the story so far tonight for the Kentucky side. 5 of 6 from the floor, 13 points.
Oh, that was a tough shot too. Great job, but that's where that size really pays big dividends. Able to shoot over the smaller defender on that possession.
Driving in beautifully, Foster.
It's almost like a fight where, you know, the first half was the early rounds. You're trying to feel each other out. Now it seems like both teams getting a little bit better rhythm offensively and more comfortable in how they want to attack the opposing defense.
Open in the corner, Poitras. Long rebound, comes out to Awandu. Foster, pull up three, and short. They're able to jump right to the miss and get it back.
Good effort there. Foster not able to convert, but runs down that his own miss, and another possession here for K-State.
Southwell hits it for 3, and the game's down to 2.
And this is the story of Kansas State, really. They just grind it out. And how about Johnson there almost forcing the turnover? We talked about his ability with the on-ball defense. Boy, he is as disruptive as it gets. And here the jumper in rhythm, in motion. Southwell taking it deep.
Back here in St. Louis, and it's from 12 to 2 now. Kentucky's lead just down to a bucket. And just a reminder, tomorrow, the third round begins at noon Eastern on CBS, Pittsburgh in Florida. TNT's first game will be at 6:10, North Dakota State, San Diego State, and TBS will fire up its lineup at 7:10 with Dayton and Syracuse meeting up in Buffalo. 8 games in all tomorrow across CBS, TNT, and TBS over the span of 12 hours.
And this is an important stretch, really, for Kentucky. They've got to get better with their execution and their decision-making.
And they bring in Jared Paulson, try to be a steadying influence, the senior from Nicholasville, Kentucky. And this call is going to go against K-State.
And that's an example. That's one of the few times you've seen Randall really try to impose himself on the post. He's been on the perimeter a lot more in this game thus far.
So Nino Williams, his second. Young hits the shot with a player all over him.
That's one of those situations where you just, that's a talent play there, because it was not a good shot, but his ability to make it was the difference.
Foster. And Kentucky converges, and Paulson comes out with it. Randall wanting to make the move, but Kansas State closes in on him. Stay with Kentucky.
This is one of those plays where as a coach, you're like, no, no, no. All right, yes, let's get back on defense there. Great job of just creating enough space, and he's got that ability. See, he extends just enough to create that space to knock down that mid-range. They get an opportunity to get the ball inside. Ooh, I tell you what, that was close there. I thought that might have been offensive.
And the foul occurs with only 4 on the shot clock.
Let's take a look at this one again. Yeah, that, to me, that's clearly a charge, but again, the official not seeing it that way, and Kentucky gets a new shot clock.
Nigel Johnson commits the foul. Here's Poitras. Aaron Harrison whips it outside, and contact underneath. And it's going to be called on K-State. Once again, it's on Nino Williams. His third.
Good job of coming over from the weak side there. And that's a good call. That's a good call. Had an established position, was trying to initiate the contact, and that's what you're not allowed to do when you're trying to take a charge.
Cauley-Stein back on the floor. 4 blocks in the game for Cauley-Stein and 5 rebounds as Poitras heads to the sideline. Four-point game, Kentucky in front, led by as many as 12 late first half. And Andrew Harrison shot slides off the rim. Up ahead comes K-State to the far side. Nigel Johnson with the 3. And tapping it outside is Cauley-Stein. They got the numbers. Aaron Harrison able to drop it.
And that was a really good decision by Aaron Harris. I know you had Randall and Cauley-Stein weak side, but the defense in essence had taken that away in terms of the lob. He made the right decision with that finish.
Southwell trying to challenge Cauley-Stein. You don't want to go there. Southwell's going to be teed up here. He wanted the foul call on Cauley-Stein, and he complained a little too long.
You have got to keep your composure in a situation like that. That's a huge play. 2 free throws. And I think Bruce Weber might agree with them. Take a look at this one again. Well, he's definitely having words with the official. I was hoping to get a look at that play. Yeah, he absolutely said something. Still not able to really tell in terms of whether or not there was enough contact to warrant that kind of reaction.
And now, just as the game started, Andrew Harrison will be at the line all alone.
A little more comfortable this time.
Yes. Even Coach Cal told Tracy he felt for the kid opening the game and nearly throwing up an air ball. Gets 1 out of 2.
Yeah, and I never condone unsportsmanlike fouls or technicals, but they have been known to spur teams on, give them a bit of an emotional lift. And right now, Kentucky was just starting to emerge with some momentum here. Let's see if that works in the favor of Kansas State.
It's Poitras.
Foster really gets after it defensively as well.
Over to Randall, into the paint, and gets the thud roll off the back of the rim. Randall with 10.
Yeah, he would tell you that was a shooter's bounce.
Yeah, got to agree. 7 unanswered for Kentucky. Here's Foster. Wildcats of Kentucky defending, and tapped up and in by Awundu, and they take it away.
I got to see that one. I thought that was clearly off the rim. Wow, that's a big play, too. You can see here it comes off. Oh.
Wow, they call basket interference. Look how far that ball was off the rim. No basket. Continues Monday at 8/7 Central. This basket taken away, and you don't believe it should have been.
No, it's clearly off of the rim. And that's a play to me that I think, from an officiating standpoint, should be reviewable all game. It's not like you have 8 or 10 potential goaltending or basket interference calls, but there aren't many plays that actually put or take points off the board. That's one of them.
Aaron Harrison, not this time. He's had a hot hand. Cauley-Stein, and he touched the rim, so that's going to come back the other way.
Good energy there by Cauley-Stein, unable to get the conversion.
This was Kentucky's first offensive rebound.
That's another, to me, that was clearly off the rim as well.
Yeah. Kansas State's been scoreless for almost 4 minutes.
And they just need something positive on this end. Gibson hasn't been that involved here as of late. He and Foster, again, the two guys that they rely on in the half court in particular.
Southwell responds after being hit with a tee.
That's a big basket, too. All of a sudden now, 2-possession game.
Southwell with 11 for the game, 9.5.
Has been solid. Let's see offensively with Kentucky. The motion you want to see, and love to see opportunities where they can get Randall in those quick ISOs on that baseline or in the post.
To shoot. Andrew Harrison launches. Cauley-Stein with the putback.
What a big basket there by Cauley-Stein. He played so brilliantly that first half with the energy starting to show itself again here last few possessions.
His first 2 points of the night. Another 3 by Southwell. Not this time.
Just being in the right place here. You see Cauley-Stein is a big, always get your head under the rim when that ball goes up, and you can see weaves his way in, able to gather and finish there. Big basket for the Wildcats.
Cauley-Stein from Olathe, Kansas, has not played really that much basketball. He was a standout wide receiver in high school. You can imagine a 7-foot wide receiver.
Goodness.
Could stretch out a little defense now and then, huh? Young, short, Randall inside, fighting for it. And denied by Gibson and others. And it's going to go back to K-State as Randall got hold of it, but out of bounds.
A great effort on the second shot there by Randall. Good block, weak side, and you can see just that toe was on the line from Randall. And really, K-State's done a decent job. Remember that 11 offensive rebounds, 5 were on one possession the first 2 or 3 minutes of the game, and that was a big concern for K-State. Could they compete with the size and athleticism of Kentucky in the paint?
Foster step back three. They get Randall. Pull that one down. But in trouble, and a timeout awarded to Kentucky from the floor. Heads up play, Aaron Harrison. Kentucky 8 points ahead. Well, the 6 teams in the history of the tournament, 0-119. And I thought just maybe
you say
with
that
halftime game, a halftime lead of 6 for Coastal Carolina. That's right.
Yeah.
We'll wait another year, but it's not over yet. Virginia turning things around for sure there in Raleigh. Meanwhile, we're inside 9 minutes to go here. And Kentucky trying to hold off Kansas State and move on against Wichita State on Sunday. Young. Coke Zero wants to know, are you a real fan? Hashtag prove it. Visit the Coke Zero social arena in March Madness Live. That was on Young, his second.
And I will say, Kentucky, while they have had their struggles against a very good defense of Kansas State, they have done a terrific job themselves from a defensive standpoint.
There's Gibson. Called on Cauley Stein, his third. Puts Gibson back on the stripe, and Takari Johnson, who hasn't seen a lot of playing time in the second half, he's coming back in. Gibson 0 for 2 tonight at the line. Here's a kid that played just 2 years of high school hoops, Takari Johnson. He was a teammate for a while of Michael Kidd Gilchrist over in New Jersey, and ending up following the high school coach Kevin Boyle down to Florida at Mount Verde Academy.
And I think he's going to be a good player. It's interesting when young players haven't had that many reps, in essence. The instincts really aren't there. He's still going through the thought process as he plays the game, which really kind of slows him down. But eventually he'll get comfortable with the speed of Division I basketball.
K-State's brought back out Spradling. And here is Takari Johnson. And that's Randall with the basket inside.
And now you're starting to see Kentucky a little bit more emphasis of attacking that offensive glass.
Randall has a double-double, 12 and 10. Switch off, Spradling. That's off Randall with 8 seconds on the shot clock. And the under 8 timeout. Under 8. And Kentucky's lead is 8. Back in St. Louis, Kentucky plus 12 on the boards. Plus 8 on the scoreboard.
And one of the ways they do it is their ability, because of the size of the backcourt here, Andrew, able to get that shoulder, and that penetration forces the help, which creates those types of opportunities for Randall and Cauley Stein to attack that offensive glass.
Let's go over to Tracy quickly.
Well, guys, this is the kind of game that Calipari has been waiting for Randall. He's been in a bit of a slump, and over the last few weeks, even as recent as this first half, Cal has been all over him. But you can tell just watching him on the sideline now, he is much more pleased with what he's seen from Randall in the second half, guys.
Yeah, Randall, his numbers now are looking good with the double-double. 3 to shoot. Foster gets it away. They touched the rim, and they got a new 35, but, well, one official says no. Shouldn't have been. Should have been a shot clock violation.
Yeah, I didn't think initially that it had hit the rim.
The Foster shot was long. Did it graze the rim on the far side? No.
No. Good call by the officials there.
Traveling. Bruce Weber's going to bring Southwell back into the game. Weber, of course, with a lot of memories here in St. Louis. He brought Illinois here in '05. A few blocks down the way at the Dome where his Illini went all the way to the championship game in that '05 Final Four, only to lose to North Carolina and Roy Williams. But his years at Southern Illinois, his years at Illinois when they would play Missouri down this way. Big St. Louis Cardinals fan, and he's had a lot of good things happen to him here in this city.
Yes, he has. And what a great Illini team that was. Chester Frazier, who was on that team, is now on the staff for Kansas State. Dee Brown and Dale Williams.
And what a job Bruce Weber's done in just 2 years. Most wins first 2 years of any K-State coach in school history. With his long ties to the great retired coach at Purdue, Gene Cady, who served for 18 years as an assistant. Cady, a Kansas State grad and a former football player for the Wildcats, as well as baseball and a track star. Here on the floor, and Spradling having it taken away by Cauley-Stein.
Spradling right now not really playing well. It's an opportunity he had to get Gibson on the post with Poitras on him, yet he called him out for that pick and roll, and then leads to the turnover.
Approaching 6 minutes as Andrew Harrison gives it up to his brother. Outside three, dips down and out. Long rebound and taken off Foster. Bounce pass, unable to hold on to it, was a one-do. So the fast break opportunity slips away. And Nigel Johnson replaces Spradling.
How precious do those possessions become? That third straight turnover for Kansas State, and that one in transition where it looked like they would get an easy basket, and you can see again the challenge they face in terms of their ability to just find consistency from an offensive standpoint. Kentucky milk the clock. They're playing a lot of these possessions late in the shot clock, and Kansas State has to do a good job of containment and not foul.
Randall, big step, and off the glass for two. And that's Mr. Harrison. Cheering on the effort by Julius Randall.
And they're just a good job, a really nice, decisive move by Randall. The defense not able to get there in time. How about that strength on the finish after the contact from Gibson? That kid, Julius Randall, is tremendously talented. As Bolson comes back into the game, as good a first step for his size as you're going to see on anybody in college basketball. Just sometimes he gets a little out of control, plays a little faster than he needs to, but that's something as he gets a little more experience, he'll understand how to change speeds when he's out on the floor.
Back to a double-digit lead. 9 of his 15 have come in the second half. And meanwhile, K-State approaching 6 minutes without a basket. And the streak continues as Randall pulls down an 11th rebound.
And as this game is going on, you talked about it on that last graphic, they're starting to separate in the paint in terms of their ability to own the backboard.
Bolson, and again Kentucky really taking full advantage, full possessions of the 35. Now with 6 to shoot. Randall lost it for a minute. Nigel Johnson fights for it on the floor, and the arrow will stay with Kentucky. You can watch games on your Amazon Kindle, Android phone, iPhone, iPad, or computer with NCAA March Madness Live. Watch now at ncaa.com/March Madness or download the app today.
And Jim, that last possession was an example, 4 on the shot clock here, of where Randall just goes a little too quick, doesn't allow the defense to get set to where he can set the defense up. And fortunate there, it didn't end up in a turnover, but only 4 left on that shot clock.
And while the officials go to the monitor for a moment, Calipari calls his team over to the sideline.
I have to be honest, not really sure what the officials are trying to determine here.
Well, there was a tie-up that was forced by Aaron Harrison. Randall also in there, but Nigel Johnson.
Yeah, but that, I mean, that doesn't matter because
Really?
it's a possession issue. It's not about who's in the. It's not like you're having a jump ball.
Right,
So I'm
I mean,
not sure if that's what they're trying to determine here.
Maybe they're looking at resetting.
A possession, that's what it is.
Yeah, they were trying to see if there was a change of possession.
That's what it was.
Which would have allowed Kentucky to get a reset 35, but they determined that Nigel Johnson never had gained a possession. So just 4 to shoot. Aaron Harrison has to launch it. And Nigel Johnson able to sweep it away. Uses that quickness up court in a hurry. Oh, and a foul underneath called on Gibson. His second.
And a lot of that, too, I think, from Gibson is some frustration because he's had a few opportunities where he's got a great seal on his post, but K-State, their perimeter players haven't been in a position where they could deliver that post entry.
K-State hasn't made a shot since the 11-minute mark. They've gone dry in the late going. Lobbed up by Young. I think he's halfway between shooting it and giving it up. And it slipped through his hands. K-State's fortunes have to change in a hurry. Nothing happening on this end of the floor. Oh, hold on a minute. A 1-2. Says, let's get off of that schneid here. That long drought that had gone over 7 minutes.
Still a lot of time in a 3-possession game here for Kansas State.
It's been a choppy game.
It has, and Kentucky being very smart here in terms of just using the clock. Nice finish and a find there by Harrison, Andrew Harrison to Sandel there. Again, really good execution this last 4 or 5 minutes in terms of utilizing the clock and then getting good looks at the end of the shot clock.
Southwell long with that one. And Kentucky now with 3 to play, up 11.
Yeah, they've done a good job of just milking the clock. Five-second call there.
5-second violation on Andrew Harrison, which will bring us to a break. The biggest lead of the game was 12 in the first half by Kentucky. They've worked it back up to 11 after K-State had trimmed it to 2 at one time. Here's a look at the Capital One Cup impact performance, and Randall has had a large second half.
In a game that's really been a bit of a defensive struggle, Randall has had some moments, not just at attacking, but also on that offensive glass. And these are the kinds of plays where I think he's most effective, those quick hitters, really before the defense is set. Impressive performance by the freshman.
Just in the second half alone, 11 points, 5 rebounds. Spradling bringing it up and giving it up to Foster. 2.5 to go. Spradling snaps it down low. And that's going to be a foul on Young. Actually, Cauley Stein, I believe. Just the 5th team foul. 4th one on Cauley Stein.
And that's also been impressive from a defensive standpoint. As aggressive as Kentucky has been, they've done a good job of not fouling, moving their feet, great loading in terms of to the basketball.
Owundu, who had that thunderous dunk, trying to get his team a spark. Spradling still unable to hit anything tonight. 0 for 5 from the field.
Yeah, he's had his struggles, not just offensively, also defensively. Just struggled with containment of the penetration by the Kentucky guards.
In a reach-in on K-State.
And we're saying this in a game where, from Kansas State's perspective, they've only given up 51 points. It's not as if, you know, they've been lit up, but you knew it was going to be this kind of a game.
But very possibly on its way to its lowest point total of the season. 52 was the low of the year for K-State. That came in a game against Long Beach State. Aaron Harrison, 1-1. These kids raised by that man right there, a lifelong military man, Mr. Harrison, who raised these kids in a very structured environment, and they are extremely popular with their teammates.
They are, and Mr. Harrison had an opportunity when we did the Louisville game earlier this season in Lexington. We hung out after the game, and he gave me a little lesson in spades. I don't know if you're familiar with the game of spades, Jim. I don't stay here with Kansas State.
Yeah, I played it before, but you played a little bit with Mr. Harrison, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, after the games are over, Matt Weiner and Seth Davis, Steve Smith, and Grant Hill. All the highlights and analysis on Inside March Madness presented by Buick, only on True TV. Took you to school, huh?
Yeah, and he and his father, Andrew and Aaron's grandfather. So I tried to get Tracy to play with us. She just wanted to take lessons.
K-State only 3 out of 18 from the outside. And 90 seconds remain, and we can start talking about Kentucky, Wichita State.
Yeah, and listen, we talked about it a little bit earlier. I was really impressed from a defensive standpoint with Kentucky. Yes, K-State struggles to score, but they're still a team that averages over 65 a game. To hold them to 40 points is impressive from a defensive standpoint for John Calipari and his young group.
Owundu will be at the line, shoot a couple, and Andrew Harrison had hit in the elbow, and Young's even signaling to the sideline, need to bring him in, bring him over.
Oh, did you see that?
I did see
goodness. He could have either hyperextended that, or even, there's a variety of things could have happened. That could be serious.
Looked like a lot of wiggle in that arm.
Yeah. Let's hope that's not anything serious.
Cauley Stein for Dakari Johnson.
Well, let's hope he's okay. But now, to your point, looking ahead a little bit, you remember preseason, there was a lot of talk about whether or not this young group of Wildcats from Kentucky could go undefeated. And they're going to face a team that ended up doing just that, Wichita State.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Kentucky lost 10 games coming into the NCAA tournament. It is a matchup that a lot of people were looking ahead at that possibility as really one of the great weekend matchups if it got there. A lot of people saying, yeah, preseason #1 against an undefeated team.
Yeah.
Want to see that one.
It's going to be, I think, really interesting. And John Calipari's got to be thrilled defensively with how they're playing. Yeah, offensively, they got some work. Struggling at times with turnovers, but I am really looking forward to that matchup.
That'll be here Sunday in St. Louis, as well as Kansas and Stanford.
And Stanford, very impressive earlier today in knocking off New Mexico, the 7 seed.
By the way, Iowa State has advanced with an 18-point win. I want to give a shout out to DeAndre Kane of the Cyclones, who rightfully should be remembered as the Big 12 newcomer of the year. I inadvertently gave that credit to Tarek Black of Kansas earlier tonight. He was the preseason newcomer of the year, which doesn't amount to anything. You got to go out there and earn it. Which DeAndre Kane did just that.
DeAndre Kane had an unbelievable season. Newcomer of the year. His teammate Melvin Ejim was the Big 12 player of the year. They just had a terrific season at Iowa State, and I tell you what, they are a legit threat.
No question. I saw that team
North Texas
last year in the NCAA tournament in Dayton. They lost at the wire, and you could see the makings though for Coach Hoiberg and that team to come back this year and put together a big season. And they're going to have a matchup against North Carolina on Sunday.
One of my former teammates, the mayor, Fred Hoiberg, done an absolute phenomenal job with that group.
A dunk by Foster with just 46 seconds to go. And a timeout from Kansas State. Well, Mark Wolf and Bob Fishman and our entire production and magnificent technical team been on the air for about, almost 11 hours. They have advanced Kentucky in the brackets. And this feeds, by the way, onto the Midwest Regional, these two matchups you're looking at on the right side, to Indianapolis next week. Now, I don't want to put anything past anyone. That St. Louis team with a great win and a comeback win against NC State. But if Louisville was to win that game against the Billikens, this is just an if and not a prediction. You could have a possibility next week in Indianapolis of Louisville against Wichita State, a Final Four rematch of a year ago, or imagine Louisville and Kentucky meeting in an NCAA tournament Sweet 16 game. We saw that matchup in the regular season at Rupp Arena, which Kentucky won.
Yes, and was impressive. Trying to determine who's coming in right now. And whoever wanted a jump ball, looks like, in terms of the possession.
It'll be Spradling inbounding. As Southwell in the paint over Randall. Good job by Randall influencing that effort. Spradling, tough shot, his first of the game. To go is a three. And again, Bruce Weber with the quick timeout. 32 seconds left. Margin is 8. Coming out of the Kansas State timeout after the three ball delivered by Will Spradling.
And now offense for defense. Remember, Spradling with 4 fouls.
They did go to the monitor, by the way, to confirm that was a 3. As Paulson inbounds it, and that'll send Harrison to the line at the other end for the double bonus.
I have to say, I am really looking forward to Sunday. Not discounting, this is not completely over yet, but harking back to what St. Louis was able to do against NC State.
NC State let him back in it by failing at the line a number of times. And the chess match continues with 31 seconds. Paulie Stein, offense-defense coming in now.
Spradling back in as well. Just knocked down that last triple, his only field goal of the game.
And the lead back up to 9. Spradling takes it on the run. Another quick three, and things could be interesting. Foster puts it up and got it! Foster! And he wanted a foul, but did not get a call. He thought there was contact. Nonetheless, it's down to 6. 24 seconds to go in St. Louis. You know, everybody's brackets are busted.
Yeah.
Had you already advanced Kentucky in the brackets?
I was going to say, everyone's bracket's busted, and potentially our graphic is busted right now if we don't somehow see this thing in according to what we thought. But it's a big possession here. If you can maybe force a turnover, you need probably one turnover.
Smartly, Randall comes over and steps out of bounds and then takes the feed. Oh, it could be a backcourt. Ball on the floor, tied up, and the arrows with Kentucky. Boy, that was close to an over and back. Look, Southwell is over here
But the
pantomiming what happened. Did that ball ever, forget where the feet were, did the ball ever cross midcourt?
It was close. And honestly, the first angle, it looked like it did.
It sure looked like it did there.
It was close, but you saw the official up top, just not in a position where he could determine. Big break there for Kentucky.
Plus, they had the arrow, 16 seconds. Cauley-Stein to Randall, and they'll put him on the line for 2.
And the other thing, it allowed them to eat up an extra 6 or 7 seconds. So now you can probably feel a little bit safer if he can make at least one of these.
It took 10 seconds from the Foster make and the subsequent timeout until Kentucky now goes to the line. From 24, when that timeout was called, we have 14 seconds left, and Randall unable to hit the first.
Well, we did see a 4-point play earlier.
Still absolutely impossible to believe. Virginia Commonwealth fouling at the end, and the Lumberjacks of Stephen F. Austin get the 4-point play to go to overtime. That's huge by Randall. And Stephen F. Austin goes on to win it. Spradling, not this time, and that should do it. Randall almost had a strip from behind over to Young, and we've got a Kentucky-Wichita State matchup on Sunday afternoon. The freshman starting 5 of Kentucky with some support by upperclassmen like Cauley-Stein and Poitras. Paulson playing in the second half. Wildcats, their first tournament win since winning the national title in 2012. Advance on to take on undefeated Wichita State Sunday in St. Louis. The tournament concludes live now on True TV. CBS coverage tomorrow at noon. Jim Nantz, Greg Anthony saying so long from St. Louis.